Welcome to today's webinar, Improving Customer Service and Profitability in Outsourced Operations with Oracle WMS. For today's webinar, I'd like to introduce Manoj Rathi. He is Director for the ERP Supply Chain Practice here at Jade Global. I'd also like to introduce Vishnu Subramanian, who is one of our lead consultants here at Jade, and also an expert on WMS. And again, I'm Vijay Shah, Marketing and Trade Show Executive here at Jade Global, and also your moderator for today's webinar. I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Manoj and Vishnu now, who will review the agenda and continue on with the presentation. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Manoj Rathi. I'm the Consulting Director for Supply Chain Practice here at Jade Global. So today, let me take you through, along with Vishnu, let me take you through the through this WMS webinar. We will go over the common outsourced manufacturing pain points. Not only outsourced, we will also see the in-house operations pain points. What are the typical warehousing requirements, and what are some of the key features of Oracle WMS, and how they relate to those warehousing requirements. We will also take you through a typical WMS solution for both outsourced and in-house operations, and we will point out where you can get some benefits out of WMS and how you can apply WMS features in outsourced operations. We'll also take you through some things to consider when you go for WMS implementation, and finally, we'll go over some benefits that you can get out of WMS implementation and that we have seen some of our customers really getting after WMS. Similar challenges we have seen in the industry, and when we go or when we try to define them in Oracle terms, I would say you have a very limited, let's say, lot attributes or your container level or box level information. You have very limited usage of that in your business decision making or process decision making. You have not highly efficient methods available outside of WMS for tracking your on-hand material. Data entry challenges that create problems. If you are using B2B for outsourced operations, then we have seen a lot of times syncing of data between your outsourced partners like 3PLs or contract manufacturers and your Oracle system. There is a lot of desyncing of the data, a lot of delta that you would see between the data in those two systems. And of course, the biggest challenge I have seen is how you capture customer-specific needs or order-specific needs for material shipment, and how you cater to that without somebody manually coming in and taking a look at that. So that I have seen as the biggest challenge, and this poll also second my experience in the industry. So going by that, typical business requirements, what you would see. So use of lot and LPN attributes for material allocation and for some other business decision making. That has been a very key business requirement wherever we have implemented WMS or even not implemented WMS. So customer-specific material allocation as well as customer-specific label and shipping document printing. So a lot of times customers, they have this need. Maybe some companies, they cater to this need, some companies they do not. And I think it definitely adds a value when you are delighting your customers by giving them the specific labels or other shipping documents, which is really very tough outside of the WMS. One more big requirement we have seen is to track and transact material in containers, boxes, and packages, which you would see later on when Vishnu takes you through the WMS overview, how it can be done. Again, warehouse productivity, where you can basically use barcode scanning, use mobile, so real-time transaction processing instead of printing papers, making the transactions, coming back and doing the data entry, which is very inefficient data entry process or transaction processing solution. And also, I mean, a lot of times there would be disconnect between your WIP completions and FG receipts. So with this, let me hand it over to Vishnu. Vishnu will take you through the WMS overview and also will take you through some of the key Jade solution components. Vishnu, please.
Thanks, Manoj, and thanks, Vijay. Good morning, everyone. And right now, we talked about the key challenges as well as the requirements in warehouse management system. Now, let me walk you through how Oracle WMS is going to cater to those needs. So, Oracle WMS warehouse management system is a tool which is used for automating and optimizing the material handling process to improve the facility utilization, warehouse productivity, and in case will definitely reduce your labor cost. When you talk about material warehouse speed, how we can achieve that is through mobile handheld terminal, where you can use it as a GUI device to do your day-to-day operations. So it's more like a real-time processing. So there is no after-the-fact transaction when we use that. We'll also scale the warehouse operations very quickly and reliably. And then WMS also improves your inventory accuracy and labor productivity. And WMS also comes with a decoupled version of eBusiness Suite. For example, most of the customers might want just WMS, they don't want Oracle eBusiness Suite. In that case, they can just buy WMS and then they can integrate it with their legacy system. Now let's talk about the key WMS features which Oracle provides. The first is the inventory controls. As you are aware, in inventory you will have lot control items, lot control serial, and division control items. All those items are honored in WMS as well as it goes one step ahead with material status. And then, for example, if you have an LPN which has a status of hold, the item which has in that lot is active. Still, what WMS will do is it will honor the status of the LPN. So it goes up to the detailed level of inventory control. Next is the task management. This will be very, very useful in improving the productivity of a warehouse. For example, when you run pick release, the picking task will be assigned to the users into the GUI device. So instead of having a paper-based pick report, you'll have a task-based system which will drive your picking process. And then in outbound logistics, what we have is a rule-based product allocation. As we mentioned earlier, you can define picking rules depending on your business requirements. Whatever your business requirements are, you can have the picking rules designed to capture that. And then when you run the pick release, there is the rules engine. What it will do is it will look at the rules defined in the pick release, and then it will create tasks based on that. So there is no manual intervention. The system does all the intelligent processing, and as well as the task will be dispatched to the user. As we discussed earlier, mobility is a very, very key important feature for improving the productivity in warehouse management system. So you can have devices which are certified to work with Oracle WMS like Intermac, Motorola, Honeywell. Those are all certified to work with Oracle WMS. You can use one of those devices as your tool for improving your warehouse productivity. Now let's open up a poll. Please let us know which Oracle EBS version are you currently working on. Now let me hand it over to Vijay.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, if you could just take a couple seconds here again to answer a quick poll. Just want to find out what Oracle EBS version you're currently on. 11i, R12.0, R12.1 plus. Couple more seconds here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close up the poll now. It looks like everyone's just about voted. So Vishnu, did you want to go ahead and talk about the results here?
Sure. It looks like most of our customers are in 12.1 and 11i, and very few are in R12. So the good news is, if you're in R12.1, there are so many features which are available and which require less customization from your side. And if you're on 11i, you might want to, it'll be a better idea to move to 12.1 directly instead of going to 12.0. Now we'll talk about how implementing a WMS solution for a typical outsourced manufacturing environment. As you can see in the picture, this is the solution which we developed for our clients using Oracle WMS. This is mainly catered for the outsourced manufacturing industry. First, what will happen is the partner will report bid completion and shelf movement in a flat file, which is called as a B2B files. We will upload the file automatically into the server and process those data, which includes packing the material into LPN into Oracle. So what happens is we have a custom program, we define a custom program which will call the WMS APIs to pack the material after when we have the information from the flat file process through WIP, and the packed material is moved into the finished goods sub-inventory, as you can see in the diagram. So after we have the material in the finished goods sub-inventory, now it's ready for material allocation. So the material allocation will happen using the Oracle picking rules. As we discussed earlier, the picking rules which are defined in Oracle, which will kick in when pick release process is run. So the picking task will be, as you can see in the diagram, the picking task will be dispatched to the mobile handler terminal, which is usually called as mobile gun. So the warehouse picker will go through the task shown in the mobile handler terminal, and then he will continue on with picking the material and then dropping the material into the staging sub-inventory. When he drops the material into staging sub-inventory, the labels will be printed automatically. So this is one of the main feature of using WMS to improve productivity. There is no manual process involved for printing the labels. So as soon as you complete a business flow, for example, like dropping into your sub-inventory, staging sub-inventory, the system will automatically start printing the labels. So you can go and grab the labels, and then you can start packing the shipments. After you pack the shipments, you can move it to the QA area, where the QA people will verify the shipment. So as soon as they verify the shipment, now it's ready to be ship confirmed. So the system will automatically sense the business flow, and then it will start printing the shipping labels, as well as the shipping reports like commercial invoice, tax slip report. So after that, when the packing and the reporting is done, it's ready to be ship confirmed. So the ship confirm also is more real time, where, for example, if you are shipping it through FedEx, as soon as you can hand over the package to the FedEx folks, you can just click the ship confirm button. So then automatically the sales order lines will get processed and will get closed, and the interface to stop, everything will happen automatically. So it's more real time. So now let's talk about the integration of WMS with the B2B solution. In the B2B solution, there is no manual intervention is needed when the inventory will be available for shipment. So what happens is, as soon as we receive the flat file, when we call the APIs, so instead of moving through the WIP process stage by stage, the APIs which we call will automatically process the data till it comes to the inventory, till the WIP completion happens. So you can save a lot of time with the manual intervention. So for example, if your outsourced company is in Malaysia and your business is running in US, so you don't have to wait for the next day to make sure that the material is available. So as soon as this process is completed, the incoming material is packed in the LPN and it is dropped into the finished goods sub-inventory, which is ready for ship confirm the next day when you log in. So you can save a lot of time in that. So that will add real value to your system. And then we re-engineered lot tracking within this to be in sync with the partner system. And one more key feature of WMS is cost group assignment. So in the cost group assignment, what will happen is any incoming material into the warehouse, you can set up rules like, for example, if for any finished goods sub-inventory items which has the item type as FG, we'll have the cost group as CG1003. You can set up a rule according to that, and then when you save it, and then when you receive the incoming material, system will automatically look for the incoming item type and will assign the cost group, and then you can receive the material into warehouse. So that is in here. This process also has no manual intervention. Okay, now let's talk about the things to consider when you implement WMS, so that we should not be looking for any surprises when you implement WMS. The first thing which you would like to know is current EBS version which you are in. As I discussed earlier, if you are in R12, then a lot of the mobile personalization features, customization feature, which Oracle already provides out of box, will not be available.
But Vishnu, I want to just clarify. It's R12.0 where a lot of features are not available. But if you are already on R12.1 or beyond that, then it's still available.
Yes, even in 11i, you will have the mobile personalization feature available. It's not available only in R12, 12.0. And then you also need to look at the network connectivity within your warehouse, because since you will be using the mobile handheld terminal for all your warehousing transactions, the network connectivity needs to be good enough to handle the data. So you might need to check the latency of the network connectivity. For example, if the network latency is more than 10 milliseconds, then the chances of performing like shipping transactions, you might encounter some performance issues. So it's always better to make sure the latency issue is very less when you have the network connectivity in your warehouse. The next thing you need to consider is impact on other business processes. For example, with WMS, most of the inventory functions as well as shipping functions will be handled WMS through LPNs. So we might also need to look for what is the impact in this process because of that for inventory and shipping, as well as cost group feature is available only in WMS. So for example, whenever you design your reports, you need to make sure you display the LPN information as well as the cost group information in your reporting needs. Syncing of operations and data between different systems. If you don't have WMS, you don't have to pack the incoming material in an LPN. But if you have WMS, all the transactions in WMS will happen through LPN. So when you think of syncing the transaction between two different, your legacy and Oracle, so whenever data which comes into Oracle WMS, it should be packed in LPN. That will happen. That will increase your productivity. Or you can also have it as loose. Then you can use WMS when the data comes into the system. You can pack it. You can decide accordingly in which way you want to design your system. And you might also want to look at the barcode fonts which you use in your label printing. For example, if you use code 128, and if your customer is using code 39, then he won't be able to scan the label which you have defined. So you need to have the communication going through between you and your customer for identifying the barcode fonts which they are using right now. And one more feature is the data field identifiers, which is mainly used for out-of-order scanning. So what will happen is, if we have not defined the data field identifiers correctly, then the system will try to put the data in different fields. So we need to make sure the data field identifiers are set up correctly. And then you might also encounter some technical challenges when you print the labels from a WMS to a Zebra printer. So the main thing which we encountered was having a postscript designed for Zebra printing. And then one more thing, very important thing we need to talk about is the data conversion needs. For example, if you are planning to implement WMS, the basic requirement is all the sub-inventories need to have at least one locator. So for example, if you have sub-inventories and you haven't defined any locators, then you might need to move the material out of the sub-inventory, make it as locator control, and bring the material back into sub-inventory. So you might have to thoroughly consider whether to do this transaction before go live or in the initial phase of go live. So these things have to be looked upon before you make a decision of when to go live. And then design scalability. So as we discussed earlier, with Manoj, label printing is a key feature. So when you design labels, please make sure it is scalable. So eventually what will happen is when the customer comes back and comes up with new requirements for labels, your system should be, your design should be scalable to accommodate those requirements. And then when you have the mobile device configured to work with Oracle, and you need to choose the correct Oracle JVM, Java Virtual Machine, as well as you might also need to configure the keys which are in your device so that you can make sure that can be more productive. For example, you can map some of the keys in your device so that the most used keys, you can map those keys so that the picker can use those devices to improve the productivity. Now let me hand over to Manoj, who will be talking about the benefits of warehousing solution.
Hey, thanks, Vishnu. So before I get into benefits, maybe I'll also touch base on a couple of considerations of WMS, just to add on what Vishnu said. So I think most of the times I've seen the way people look at WMS is like it's a technical implementation. So you are just adding on an Oracle product. I would warn against that. When you implement WMS, you are basically making a big cultural change in your inventory management, logistics, customer service, shipping execution team. So it's a big cultural change, and make sure you are ready for that change. Another point to consider would be, I mean, how do we want to phase it out? I mean, do we want to go with a big bang, or do we want to have a phased implementation where we, let's say, start with just picking rules and then add on, let's say, label printing after that? Because I think picking rules and label printing, or in fact, I would say picking rules was probably the top WMS challenge that I could see, customer or order specific needs, which would need picking rules. So you can do a phased implementation, just implement one part of or one component of WMS and then move on to the other components. With mobile, I mean, if you are trying to introduce mobile barcode scanning, mobile gun, make sure you keep enough time and make sure you test out the mobile in the warehouse, because I mean, we faced challenges around that with our customers. So the mobiles were working perfectly fine when we were working in the offices and configuring the mobiles, but when it really reached the warehouse, we had a lot of challenges around that. Especially, I mean, you take any mobile device, you would see that compared to your laptops or desktops, the connectivity is not that great. I mean, they have some weaker signals or weaker components in them to accept the wireless signals. It becomes really challenging. Moving on to the benefits that we have seen typically people get out of WMS, the first and foremost I would say is improved customer service. Although, I mean, you may start your WMS implementation with an intention of improving your warehouse productivity, I would say one of the biggest benefits you would reap out of it is your improved customer service. Because now you are capable of basically catering to their very, very detail level order specific or order line specific requirements. Your fulfillment process becomes very reliable with WMS because of the data entry through mobile and fewer papers to transact during the overall process, fewer rejects, fewer returns. Especially, I mean, once you implement WMS and you start tracking your inventory with a lot of like lot attributes and LPN attributes, those kind of details, you start getting fewer rejects and returns from your customers. So that's a big benefit. Warehouse productivity, of course, it improves, but I would still say that to get that warehouse productivity, you have to go through maybe a quarter of one quarter after WMS to really see productivity improvements because of the training needs, because of the cultural change that you see with WMS. Reduction in lead time for shipping, so your shipping execution process becomes very fast. Another thing, I mean, once you implement WMS, you would see a lot of your third-party, your partners like CMs and 3PLs, they would probably have some kind of warehouse management system if they are not using Oracle. So if you are not using WMS, then you will see there are a lot of inconsistencies between the way they track material and the way you track material within your Oracle database. So if you are an outsourced environment, if you have an outsourced environment, then with WMS, you get closer to data syncing between your CMs and 3PLs. Barcode scanning definitely reduces your errors during data entry. Again, near real-time transaction processing that basically allows you to cut down your shipping time or cut down your processing times in terms of inventory management and logistics to a great extent. And not to mention, I think one of the considerations was cost group. So a lot of times I have seen with WMS implementation, finance is the last group to be involved, and if you are not involving finance from day one, I would say you are calling disaster, because even though Oracle may not have highlighted cost group assignment rules or cost group changes, that is a big change that you would see once you get into production with WMS. So the way you were costing your material changes significantly after WMS. What you can do is you can use that new feature to basically get benefits out of it.
Thank you so much, Manoj and Vishnu, for giving a really wonderful, great presentation that was extremely informative for everyone who had questions as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.